Imagine a lab in the mid-20th century. One exhausted scientist decides to mix two chemicals just to see what happens. And suddenly, boom, a frothy blob starts swelling, spilling over the bench, sliding to the floor, and sticking to shoes. Assistants are shouting. Someone grabs a broom. And before long, the lab looks less like science and more like a bakery explosion gone horribly wrong. Papers, glass, and goo. Everywhere it seems like total chaos, completely out of control, and yet, hidden in that apparent mess is the magic of foam. A material that, despite looking like a runaway blob, would go on to serve countless purposes humans hadn't even imagined. What seemed like a chaotic disaster in the moment would turn out to be one of the most versatile inventions of modern life. Foam's versatility is astonishing. At first, it was used for mattresses comfy, squishy, and soft, replacing the springs that poke you in the middle of the night. But foam didn't stop there. Inside a biker's helmet, layers of foam absorb shocks and impacts, reducing the risk of head injury during a crash. What once looked like a strange, uncontrollable substance spilling across a lab table is now quietly keeping people alive on the road, proving that even the messiest accidents can lead to life-saving results. Firefighters also rely heavily on foam. Specialized foams smother flames by cutting off oxygen, cooling surfaces, and stopping hangars. Airports and industrial facilities around the world have counted on foam to tame fires that water alone could not handle. It is incredible to think that the same substance that once caused chaos in a small lab can now act as a first responder in dangerous, high-stakes situations. And foam is everywhere in our everyday lives, too. Sneakers, for example, have turned foam into a high-tech playground. Every year, brands release shoes with new foam technology. Some of it marketing hype, some true innovation. Lighter, springier, more responsive foams absorb impact and return energy efficiently. Some are engineered to last longer. Others are eco-friendly and made from recycled materials. Sneaker design has become a mix of material science and marketing strategy, turning your feet into a testing ground for cutting-edge innovation. Foam isn't the only accidental invention that changed the world. Velcro, inspired by Swiss engineer George de Mestral, came from burr seats that stuck to his socks and his dog's fur during a walk. Most people would just brush them off as annoying little nuisances, but de Mestral looked closer, curious. He studied the seeds under a microscope and realized they had tiny hooks that could latch onto loop hooks that eventually became the hook and loop fasteners we know today. By seeing an irritating little burr in a new way, he created something revolutionary. Velcro is everywhere, securing astronaut suits, holding spacecraft components in place, keeping shoes fastened, and even organizing items in your wardrobe. What once annoyed most people became a global fastening hero. Even everyday office supplies have stories of accidental genius. Post-it notes, for instance, were born from a glue that didn't work at all. Spencer Silver, a chemist at 3M, had been trying to create a super strong adhesive. Instead, he ended up with a weak, repositionable glue. At first, it seemed useless, but a colleague realized it could be used to make little sticky notes that peel off and reattach anywhere simple, clever, and now indispensable worldwide. What was a failure became a tiny revolution on office desks everywhere. And of course, there's penicillin. Alexander Fleming returned from a vacation to find a petri dish contaminated with mold. Instead of throwing it away, he noticed the bacteria around the mold were dead. That chance observation led to the first antibiotic, a discovery that has saved millions of lives worldwide. Once again, what seemed like contamination and chaos became life-saving innovation. From chaotic lab blobs to helmets, firefighter tools, sneakers, Velcro, Post-it notes, and penicillin. Some of the most revolutionary inventions began as accidents. A mess in a lab, a sock ruined by annoying seeds, a glue that didn't stick, a mold growing in a forgotten petri dish. These moments all share the same lesson. What looks like failure, annoyance, or chaos can be an opportunity if you look at it differently. Perspective is everything. Innovation often begins where order ends. Sometimes, the world's most useful and life-changing inventions start with something no one planned, nothing anyone expected, and a lot of look and the courage to see potential where most people only see a mess.